that time of year we're getting ready to go deer hunting, and you know what? I saw y'all using this, and I kind of got excited about it because, and it's not. I don't want to harp on it, but I only have use of one arm, and I know rattling can be very effective sometimes.
There's a window of opportunity.
There's a window of opportunity. We'll talk about that in a minute. But y'all got something out. Can I just show them how it's doing it?
Yeah, it's doing
here.
that.
Now I'm telling you what, for a guy who just found it almost impossible to make a rattling noise, I put this right here.
Sounds pretty good, Tim.
That's got the bone sound to it.
Yeah.
You deadened it down with them legs.
Now I went from not being able to make that sound to something, and then you come right up and just keep that right there. I'm telling you what.
This is the new one out this year. This is, I guess you'd call it Magnum. This is one that came out this year. It was so popular, and it's got the. And I might have to start doing that too, Tim. That sounds pretty good.
Puts some meat in his neck, doesn't it?
It really does.
But anyway, that's been a very, very popular item to deer hunt with this year.
Now let's talk about that window of opportunity. When is it effective? Now I've done it before, and of course it was a pain. I was trying to hold up under my arm and everything. But certain times I've had deer just run off as fast as they could. When's the best time to use this, and why?
Well, my opinion is the best time to use it is just prior to the estrus or the peak of rut. And a lot of it, the more that it works means there's a bigger span between the first does that came into heat and your majority of does that come into heat, and that is usually regulated by the moon, believe it or not. But let's just use a typical scenario in the state of Kentucky and the surrounding states. Around the 12th, 14th is when you get the prime peak of rut. Okay, if you back off to the first dark moon before that, you're going to have a few does come in heat, which a lot of times is the end of October. And when those does come in heat, those bucks are going to fight over, and they recognize what that horn sounds like. Then all of a sudden there's no does in heat, and there's another lag period, so they got to go out and run the scrapes again, and all of a sudden you hit that rack sounding like this right here, and you say, uh-oh, another doe in heat. That's when he comes to it.
You know, using rattling devices, a lot of times you call a lot of little bucks up, but it'll call a big buck up too, Tim. Don't let anybody kid you. You just keep calling them little bucks up. Next thing you know, you're going to be looking out there and wondering where he come from. He's going to be a Boone and Crockett looking at you.
I kind of like calling the little bucks up myself. I said, I turned me and didn't say nothing.
Yeah, I do too. But
you know what? We talked about turkey hunting. You said everything comes to a fight. Same thing.
Same scenario.
Same deal here.
The only thing, that old turkey, he just can't get the wind right and smell like his deer can. Now, that dude, he's going, when he comes running in, it seems like he's got the wind in his favor every time.
You know, a lot of times you'll see a big buck that will not necessarily just break and run off, but go the other way when you do that.
Mm-hmm.
And you got to ask yourself, well, what made him do that when I just had a 2-year-old buck come right up here? I think a lot of times a big buck just knows what's in his territory and what's happening. And he's just suspicious that I've survived. I need to go on and get away from this. It's not happening there. I don't care how realistic it sounds, it's not happening. Or he's had his butt whipped pretty good, and he don't want no more of it.
He's got that sixth sense.
Have you ever wondered how a big buck gets through a season without breaking his horn? He didn't do a lot of fighting. That may have been a typical scenario where some of them just not fighters. If nobody's there, I'm a lover, but I ain't gonna be a fighter. So they just turn and run from a fight. That's the only way when I grew up. I didn't go to the fights. I used to run away from them.
Now, if you spend a lot of time in the woods, deer make a lot of noises, and you got something in your hand.
Well, this is a grunt call. Tim, there's a lot of things about this grunt call I like it because you can, bow hunting, I can put it under my coat there without getting the bowstring hung on it. Or I can hang it on a limb and pull it out. But it sounds like a deer. And
is that a fairly new product?
this is a fairly new product.
2 years old.
And it's got the inhale, exhale. It's got that good slow grunt to it. And a grunt call is just something that it'll work sometimes, and sometimes it won't. But I'm gonna tell you something. I'm gonna take it with me because
There's
every time I
times-
blow it, I think it's gonna work.
There's a bigger opportunity or a window of opportunity for a grunt call than there is about any other kind of
And
calling
if
device.
anybody's ever had one of those at the right time, they'll knock anything down. I mean, there's times, and I've found during muzzleloading season. Seems to me
in
like
your early season,
yes,
or later?
and it seems to me like that works.
That's a great time.
Yeah.
That's early. That's
And what's that called now?
this right here. It's a rack blaster, and it's made out of pretty soft material there, and it's got this
Sound chamber.
sound chamber. I tell you what, it's a whole different process of blowing that call plastic than what it used to be. It has to be a flexible stuff, but that gives it that good sound, I think.
You know, a lot of people sometimes will struggle thinking, I don't ever hear a deer make any noise. What's all this stuff you're doing? But if you could ever catch a buck and make him go around in a circle of about 150 yards, just go around and around, in your hearing range, you might hear him grunt all day long.
Mm-hmm.
But when he just comes by and goes on, he might not have said nothing, he might have said something, but you didn't recognize it. And you don't say, well, he didn't say much if he said anything. But when he goes around that circle, he just keeps talking.
That pre-rut and rut, they do lots of grunting.
Lots of grunting. And a lot of it's aggressive, like get away from me. A lot of it
it's
means I'm going
loud.
to kick your butt.
A lot of it's low.
A lot of it they do it while they're posturing.
There's all kinds of new products coming out to make life easier on the sportsman. I'm seeing something laying over there. I don't
Well,
know what it is. But
This thing here is probably a Me Too deal, but we happened to put it in our line this year because we were interested in field dressing stuff. That's a deal that you can pull down through his skin without popping his stomach, and so that's a neat item. I mean, it's a Skinner is what it is,
Yeah.
and it's a little bit big for squirrel, but it's
Yeah, you grab a hold of the hide and pull it down, and you don't have to take your hand and wear your hand out. You just hook that and start skinning him down. I used that this year. It's pretty neat.
I'll tell you what, there's a lot of good products out there, and it looks like it might be one of
that's
them.
called a skinning buddy.
Any more tips about deer vocalizations or anything you can do to increase your chances out there in the deer woods?
It doesn't hurt to carry it and try it. If you're not seeing anything, and first question is always asked is, well, how much do you do? Well, a smart aleck answer is just enough. I mean, I don't know how much to do. You can overdo it, you're going to do just like you can anything else, because when you're not looking at the deer, you don't have a response. But when that deer is going away from you, it don't hurt to give him a little something to see if you can turn him around and bring him back. And then, if you do, he'll dictate to you how much he wants just by his body posture and coming to you.
And if you don't have it, you can't do it.
Can't do it, it's for sure.
And a lot of times it gets boring up there in a deer stand. If there's nothing
That
going
gives you
on,
something to do.
That's exactly right. Deer hunting a lot of times is boring. Now in the rut, when you can hunt from daylight to dark and never get out of your tree, and things is really coming alive. That's the most fun time to deer hunt.
Actually, that thing ought to be called the staying power.
the what?
The staying power.
Staying power?
Yeah, because that gives you staying power, stay in the stand.
Gives you something to do.
Gives you something to do.
Yeah.
Well, guys, thank you so much, and good luck out there this year.
Same to you, Tim.